there, everybody. How's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Monday, April 21st, 2025. I got all pieces of the date correct on the first try. Woohoo! But yeah, I am here with an update video. So I am here to catch you up on the stitching I have done for the last 2 weeks. And then we have a couple of other topics with little bits and pieces. But it's going to be mostly a stitching update. Before I get into everything though, welcome everybody. Welcome to both my returning viewers as well as anybody who is new here. Perhaps you're checking out my channel for the first time. I just so appreciate you all for spending part of your day with me today. Yeah, that's pretty great. Speaking of pretty great, you, the community, are pretty great, and I just want to reiterate my appreciation. I received a lot of comments on my last update video of support and love and encouragement as I navigate my recent diagnosis of hyperthyroidism. I know that the community is great. I was verklempt reading your comments and just feeling very, very comforted. It is not a major condition. It is not going to be wholly life altering, but it is new for me. It's uncharted territory for me. So I just appreciate you all so much on giving me that love. I haven't replied to any comments, but best believe I have read everyone at least 2 or 3 times. Yeah, thank you all very much for that. So I think what I'm going to do is save the life update portion for the end. And so we are going to, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. Let's have a meeting about the meeting. So I've got the projects that I have worked on for the last almost 2 weeks. And it has been largely Springo with one addition, and we'll get there. I have some upcoming plans and sort of a brief kind of talk about what I think May is going to look like. I have the tiniest little bit of haul. I debated back and forth on whether I was going to pull out all of the haul from the last 4 months, and then I thought, no, that sounds silly. But I'm going to show you the things that I've gotten since my last update video, and it's just a little bit. We're going to talk books a little bit because I finished a book yesterday and I am reading something that I just want to talk about with everybody. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little book talk towards the end, and then we'll talk a little bit of life update. So let's get into it. Let's get into the stitching update, and we will get started with Springo. Springo, as I have mentioned recently, is a bingo event hosted by the Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge group on Facebook, in which we have a 35 space board. Every day, Carolyn from Seasook Stitch calls a new number, and so I have made the decision to make that my project for the day. So I'm going to show you my Springo board, what it's currently looking like. And I do not have a Springo bingo. I don't have one yet. The different shades of green don't mean anything. It's just that I apparently have 2 different green highlighters with different shades. But the green boxes, I have completed the goal, which is to just work on it. And then we have 34 here, which I am currently working on. Each of these letters is corresponded to a project. See my Springo plans video for the specifics on that. So I have done quite a lot of stitching since my last update video. I filmed it on the 9th. It went live on the 11th. So we have just shy of 2 weeks of stitching to update. So let's get into it. Now, because these are chosen in random order, there is no putting these in chronological order. So I just pulled the projects over here and then I have them listed in that order. However, this first one, I mentioned in my last update video that this was my call for Wednesday the 9th. And so I filmed that day and then I edited, and I was exhausted, and so I didn't stitch a whole lot on that Wednesday. So this project actually got a little bit of extra love the following Thursday. I'm not trying to do that, but I did. So let's get into it. In this project bag, for which I do not know the maker, lives Strawberry Sampler. So Strawberry Sampler is by the Vivsters, and this was for my N in Springo, N for new start, or in this now, at this point, it is newest start. And I think in my last video I was lamenting my fabric, and I am so glad that I not only went with this option, but that it was my only option. So this, you will have seen a preview of what it will look like finished. This has been called a total of 3 times, so I've worked on it 4 days since starting it, since my last video. And the fabric is a 40 count Newcastle linen in cream from Zweigart. And I have done a lot. So what I always run into with these Vivsters pieces is that I can't seem to stop. I mean, I can't seem to stop. So I have the whole top band done above the sort of boxed off bands. The whole top band is done, which is just, that's wild. So I have stitched in, let's see, all 4 blues. I have stitched a little bit in all 4 blues, and then 1 of the ready pinks. And I have started on this band here. So I think that this whole project, I think I counted it to be considering 18 bands. So if I did a band a month, then I would have this finished by the end of next year. I don't know if that's the plan, but it was just a thought that I had in my head. I can't help it. I can't help but break things up like that. But this first band is done. So at least if I decide to go with that plan, then April's band is done. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So this still has the potential to be called 2 more times here in April. But I have made a significant enough start on this that I don't think I'm going to be working on this at the end of Springo. Springo ends, the last call is for Friday the 25th. And so I don't think I'll be working on this again after Springo. We'll see. But so that is where I am with Strawberry Sampler. I am at 2,585 stitches complete of 34,085 stitches total. I am at 7.58% complete. So, and let me show you my threads here, because these are really quite pretty. Gorgeous ready pinks, and then the dusty blues there. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Very, very pretty. Okay, up next is Promise of Spring. So Promise of Spring is my G, and this has been called 3 times since my last video, and so 4 times total. This one is, like, at this point, the only one that I really think is possible for me to get a bingo, because I only need one more call. But that lives in this project bag. This is by Diddly Daddle Designs, and I haven't seen an update from her in a long time. Promise of Spring is by Cottage Garden Samplings, and move my needle minders out of the way. There we go. So yeah, that's Promise of Spring, featuring the American Robin and tulips and the word hope. And this is a Year of Whips piece, and that will come into conversation a little bit later. Let's see. Like I said, it's been called 3 times, so I've worked on it for 3 days for 1,593 stitches since my last update. And this is on a 32 count Belfast linen in Seaside from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And I have made some significant progress, although the most notable is obviously these diamonds and the bird. But I've actually done quite a bit of work over here as well. Each of these little diamonds needed to be filled in, and there's a couple that haven't been. I had to finish out this leaf. There was the dark outline of this leaf needed doing. I have done more than the obvious changes. So I've been working on the diamonds, and I tried to finish up the diamonds, but I am out of 3740, and I've got to get some to be able to finish out the diamonds. So I moved over and got started working on the Robyn, and he's looking really cool. I am a big fan of the birds in this series and the way that that's turning out. I also did this neutral motif over here with the shape of the tulip. That's pretty cool. To complete the top half. So the top half of this piece is done. I am over the 50% mark, at least by the chart. The bottom half is pretty stitch heavy with that sort of flower pot looking section there. That's pretty full. So there's still a good bit to go here, but the end is in sight. Like it's not so far off. These designs are charted for Weeks Dye Works. I have done a conversion to DMC. I shouldn't say that. I am using Vinny's conversion to DMC for this one, including DMC 310, if you can believe it. Yeah, I'm using the 310. And there may be more 310 in my stitching life because my Anchor Black stock, if you will, is dwindling. So there may be more use of 310 in my future. Anyway, so that is where I'm up to with Promise of Spring. Like I said, this has one more opportunity for a call here during Springo. And this one may be a focus on a finish. Like I may just try to get this one done in the next couple of months. May I have kind of big plans, so it might be June before I try to get this one done. So that is where I'm up to with Promise of Spring. Love it, love it, love it. No percentages on that one because I don't have it digitally. Okay, up next is a piece that has seen a lot of progress over the last 2 weeks. This has been called 2 times for Springo since my last video, but I have done almost 1900 stitches on it since that point. So that lives in this project bag by Black Cat X Stitchery, and this is Sew to Stitches Coffee Break. So here is what it will look like finished, and I am doing the full-size version, none of the adapted ones that they sort of advertise down here, but I'm doing the full version. And I have worked on this a lot. So April 11th, I toyed with the idea of doing my marathon that weekend because the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Marathon is this coming weekend. However, this coming weekend is kind of a busy one. My birthday is on Friday. I have a doctor's appointment on Friday. My daughter has a birthday party on Saturday. I have my stitching meetup on Sunday, which I don't know if this is true for everybody, but stitchy meetups are not normally very stitchy, especially since I haven't been since November. And so I knew going into it that this weekend was not going to be great for me to do marathon. This past weekend was Easter, and the weekend after my birthday weekend, after the scheduled 24 Hours of Cross Stitch weekend, I'm getting together with my mom and my brother because my mom's birthday is the day after mine. Anyway, I was toying with the idea of doing marathon weekend, the weekend of the 11th, and it didn't pan out, and that's okay. But because it started as the plan, I did quite a bit of stitching on that Friday. So this is where I am now. Yeah. So this is done. this first bit is done. Is it all the way done? Yes, it is all the way done. Yeah, completed. And when I last showed this to y'all, I think I was some way into the coffee cup here, but I have obviously finished the coffee cup and the cherries underneath on the napkin, and then this bottom thing, and then I've come over here and done like 75% of this coffee cup. Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of stitching. So To Stitch has an Etsy shop where you can get a lot of their charts in PDF form, and that speeds me up tremendously. So I have done some good work on this one and really moved it along. So in my last video, I talked about the idea about moving my projects beyond the 25% mark, because I have like 60 some odd projects in that percentage bucket, if you will. And so on Friday the 11th, I'll insert a picture here. I stopped stitching for the night and I looked at my pattern keeper and it said that I was at like 24.99% complete. And I didn't know if this was going to get called again, so I put in the last couple of stitches to send it over that 25% mark. It was hilarious. I stopped at like exactly the wrong spot. So a couple extra stitches went in that day, and then it got called a couple days later. Yeah. So I have done 1,846 stitches in this since my last video. I am now at 3,970 stitches complete of 12,508 stitches total, which brings me to 31.74%. So yeah, I didn't really have anything to worry about, but just in case it never got called again, I wanted to be sure to cross that that milestone, if you will. So over a quarter complete. Very much a big fan of this. Stitching this using the called for DMC, except Anchor Black instead of DMC 310. And the fabric, I don't know that I said it this time. This is a 40 count Newcastle linen in driftwood bicolor and cotton. And I love it. And it makes me want to go make a cup of coffee. So that is where I am with coffee break. So this has the potential to be called 2 more times here for Springo. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, up next is a project. Oh, I'm just having so much fun working on this. I really very much enjoy this project. So it lives in this project bag. This is a Fab Shabby Rose bag. And in here lives my La Douceur de Jardin by Madame Lefie. Or Madame Lefie. So yeah, this is what this will look like finished. I bought this as a PDF from the Madame Lefie website. It is not Pattern Keeper compatible, but it was nice to get a digital version and be able to get it uploaded into a PDF reader so that I can at least zoom in, because this is charted pretty tiny. So this has been called 2 more times since my last update video, and I have made some good progress on it. I will be honest, this is definitely my most challenging piece that I chose for Springo, because the chart is tiny and it's not digital, and it's just my most challenging. But it is so pretty though. So I am stitching this using the called for DMC on 40 count Newcastle linen in Dapple by Picture This Plus. And I have done some really, really good work here. So I'm stitching this one pseudo typewriter method snake style. So I started over here and I worked my way this way, and then I'm coming down this way and coming down this way. And now I am working my way that way. So I have the rose completed as far down as my line, and the same for the terracotta pot and the ball of twine there. Those are, for the most part, completed down to my line. The twine needs some long stitch back stitch on it to give the twine stringy effect, and that's going to have to wait until I get the whole thing done. But otherwise, completed all the way down to that point. And so if this comes back out for Springo or the next time that I work on it, I will get started on this. This is a pot of thyme. And head on over here to this sort of hanging plant, whatever it may be. I love this. I am having just the most fun with it. It is so pretty. I love seeing the different layers of the rose come together, but then I like switching over and working on the greens for the leaves. This is fun. I'm having a good time with this one. This design is not huge, but it is complicated. It is a little complicated. So since I last showed this one to you, I have done 1,285 stitches. Like I said, it's been called twice. Up next, oh, I love this project too. I love these all. I love them all. So this is in a project bag by Vintage Owl Lady. I got this one quite some time ago. And this is Quaker Easter eggs. Quaker Easter eggs is by the Vivsters as well. And I love this one. So preview here of what this will look like finished. I worked on this one time. It has been called one more time since my last update. And I did 560 stitches on it that one time. So the fabric is a 40 count Newcastle linen in Sandy Bottom from Fortnite Fabrics, which unfortunately you can't find anymore. I'm stitching this using the called for DMC, and this time I completed this little, what I call quilt blocks and the color swatch, and then I got going on this one, and the dark blue I carried on down into this, the actual borders for the eggs. So that's what I got with 560 stitches. And I could have done a lot more. I mean, I really could have. I could have done a lot more. But I made the decision for my Springo projects that are not also Year of Whips, that are not also focused on a finished pieces for this year, that when I hit 500 stitches, if there is additional stitching time for the rest of the day, then I'm switching to something else. And I'll show you what that something else is here in just a minute. But like I have done easily 2,000 stitches on this here in April, and it still has the opportunity to be called twice more. And as much as I love it, I feel like I should be spending more time on other things. As I start to feel better, as I start to get back to me, I feel like I should be spending more time on things I want to finish or things I want to make significant progress on. So I put the cap at 500 stitches, and if I have extra stitching time in the day, then I will switch to the other project. So that's why it's only 560, even though it could have been so much more. I think this was called on, let me see, I have my calendar right here. Yeah, it was called last Friday. So that is Quaker Easter eggs. This next one was another situation. It was my call for yesterday, and I did my 500 stitches and then switched to my alternate project, if you will. And this is another one I could have gone a lot further with. So living in this project bag made by Diana of It Is Kismet Stitches. This is Opening Gambit. So Opening Gambit is by Long Dog Samplers. And I am stitching this one for my husband, more specifically for our board game room. And I did, let me see, 521 stitches yesterday. It was the only additional time it has been called so far for Springo. So here's where I am, and this is a 40 count Newcastle linen in Vintage Country Mocha from Zweigart. And I have so much margin of fabric on this. So yeah, so that's where I am with opening Gambit. I have finished out the deer. This letter Y is coming together. I've stitched a frog and filled in some more stuff over here. Stitched this spider and his spindly legs. Pretty cool. I am stitching this using DMC 902, 1/2, one thread over 2 linen threads. And yeah, I could have gone a lot further with this, but I didn't. I did my 500. This is not my focus long dog for the year, so it will have to wait. That's where I got to yesterday with opening Gambit. So I have 7 projects for Springo, and up until last night, I thought that the 7th project might never get called again. But actually Carolyn called it for today. And that is Spring Dragon by Ingleside Imaginarium. I did not bring that today because I am midway through it today. And so I will show that to you in my next update. And we'll see how many more times that gets called. There are only a few days left, and so my chances of getting a bingo are not great. They are not terribly high. I'll show you this again. Yeah, so 34 is what I'm working on now. If I could get 35, I'll have a bingo there. I have 3 and 7. But the thing about randomization is that it very rarely prioritizes the poles, the opposite ends of whatever you're randomizing. I run into this with WIPGO all the time. 1 and 25 are normally like, it takes a long time for those ones to get called. And so we have some really low numbers still left. 2 and 3 still left. 35 and 34 are, yeah, and 33 still left. So yeah, I'm not so sure. So we'll see how it plays out, and I'm not playing this officially, so it's all good. It has been a lot of fun, and I am contemplating playing AB Singo in September. Kind of wait and see. Contemplating it. So let's talk about the extra project. I have been watching FlossTube the last couple of weeks in a way that I have not for the first few months of the year. It has been nice to get back to watching some FlossTubes. And so I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I have a tendency of sort of choosing FlossTubes that go along with what I'm stitching. If I am stitching on a sampler, then I watch somebody who also stitches on samplers. If I am stitching on something more modern, then I very much enjoy stitching then watching FlossTubes from folks who also stitch a lot of modern things. Full coverage. If I am stitching on full coverage, then I am motivated to keep working on that full coverage while I'm watching a FlossTube from a full coverage stitcher. So I typically will try to sort of coordinate the two. But this month is so different. I am changing projects, samplers, long dogs, modern, what have you, and I haven't been watching FlossTube this year, that I just kind of threw a bunch of videos into a watch later list. And I have been steadily working my way through that. And I have been coming upon full coverage stitchers, which has piqued my interest back towards full coverage. I legitimately thought that the full coverage, that I had overdone it, that I had pushed the full coverage too far and reached a level of burnout, and that it was going to be something to get me back into full coverage. And as it turns out, it was FlossTube. So on the day that I made the decision to spend part-time with another project, I decided something that I would be willing to put in a Q-snap would be the way to go. And so, so that my Millennium frame can be reserved for my Springo projects, changing that out constantly, and I can leave this other project on a Q-snap. And I toyed with choosing a random full coverage. I thought about going with sweater weather because just a little bit of progress here and there on sweater weather would be nice. Ultimately, I went with Snow Castle. So Snow Castle is by Heaven Earth Designs. The artist is Randal Spangler. This is a piece that I would really like to be able to finish next year. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I get caught up with full coverage whipco. I have a whipco board devoted to this project. Each number that is called for whipco, if you multiply that number by 100, then that is my goal on Snow Castle for this year. I have abandoned my New Start whipco board. I am toying with other whipco board ideas, but we are most of the way through April here. So if I'm going to try to accomplish whipco this year, I decided to give it a shot with Snow Castle. And so I put Snow Castle on the Q-snap, and it has been great. I did 542 stitches the first day that I tried this, and then 587 yesterday, and it has been phenomenal. So let me go ahead and show that to you, show you where I'm up to. Still in the Q-snap, and I'm not taking it out, not this video anyway. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. 1100 stitches that I was not planning on for the month of April. I am so pleased. One of the things that I run into in particular with this piece is that I tension my Millennium frame a lot. I make it absolutely drum tight, and what that ends up doing is warping the squares of my fabric to the point where they are elongated, and it makes the stitching not so much fun, and it makes the coverage look bad while I'm stitching. But putting this in a Q-snap, it looks pretty good. Like the squares are fairly even. They're not super elongated, and the coverage looks pretty good. So this just feels like a win-win-win kind of a moment for Snow Castle. I am not bogged down by the elongated blocks, so I'm not worried about the whole project looking stretched at the end. I am getting regular progress on it, and I am enjoying it. So I am stitching this with all of my full coverage. I stitch in a stair stepper diagonal, 10 by 10 blocks, but I oftentimes will feather into neighboring blocks, and then I park. And with this one, I had saved the bottom corner of page 7 here for page finish May. And so now I am stitching in pages 8 and 7. So my diagonal runs from page 8 into page 7. Still with the plan of an easy page finish on page 7 in May. And I'm just having a ball. I mean, I'm just enjoying myself. This is a good time. So yeah, so that's where I am currently. I really like stitching a little bit in the sky and then getting to spend some time in the castle, which is just fun to stitch. And then this part in particular is pretty confetti heavy right now. Confetti / ninja stitches. And then a little bit of sky. So it feels like a good balance. It feels like a good balance of tedious stitching and also monotony. So yeah, so that's where I am with Snow Castle. No before and afters on this because this is going to be kind of an ongoing thing, and it will come out on the days where the Springo call is not a Year of Whips project. So my Year of Whips projects that are in Springo are Promise of Spring and Spring Dragon. And those two, I will spend the whole day with them because I would like to finish them this year, so I might as well. But the other ones, if I hit 500 stitches, then I will switch over. So we'll see how much more progress this one gets from now until my next update. The fabric is a 25 count easy grid Lugana from Zweigart. I stitch my full coverage is 1/1 full cross. This is the called for DMC, however I subbed Anchor Black in for the DMC 310. So that is my progress on Snow Castle. Ah, so good. Anyway, some Snow Castle statistics for you. I have done 1,129 stitches since I last showed you the project. I have now completed 47,652 stitches of 126,000 stitches total, bringing me to 37.82%. And if I stick to the Whip Go plan, then I will very much easily surpass 50% this year, which will leave me with as few stitches for next year as humanly possible to try to get it finished next year. So that is where I am with Springo and with the update. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about some plans. Carolyn decides what I work on for the most part. So I have Springo, like I said, through Friday. But separate from that, tomorrow is April 22nd. It is Earth Day tomorrow. And so tomorrow I will be starting, as I mentioned last time, The Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola Crow. I have loved seeing the frames for Extraordinary Birds, and I am going to so enjoy watching y'all do that. And I am also geeked to work on Greenhouse of Oddities. Now, how am I going to do Springo and Greenhouse of Oddities and Snow Castle? I don't know. I haven't fully figured that out yet. But I do know that no matter what gets called tomorrow, I will spend tomorrow night on Greenhouse of Oddities and part of Wednesday. So that is the plan there. Springo ends, like I said, the last call is on Friday. And then after that, we have 5 days left of the month of April. And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that either. I could spend that time on Greenhouse of Oddities, try to get a more significant start into it. I could spend that on my small monthly haul pieces, Ragnarok and Secret Stitch, Summer Sampler, and Touching the Autumn Sky. They could get some love in those last 5 days. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with those last 5 days. So we'll see. I will try to come up with a decision. I am leaning towards spending that time on Greenhouse of Oddities only because I know that tomorrow I won't get a very significant start on it. So yeah, that feels maybe that's the plan. I'll pencil that in. I'll pencil that in for the plan. To spend at least some of that time with my greenhouse. So then we come up to May. May is next Thursday. That tracks. Yes, next Thursday. So next Thursday is May the 1st. And my plan for the month of May is to move forward with page finish May. I'm going to try to get as many full coverage page finishes as I can during the month of May. I am not sure how long I'm going to let that go for, how long I'm going to let that run for, but I went through my eligible full coverage pieces and wrote down a list of the stitch counts. So I'm going to read those to you real quick here. So April by Anna Dittman, I'll be flashing up covers as I talk about them, has 1,700 stitches estimated to the page finish on that one. Cherry Blossom Breezes, I thought I was further along than I am, has 5,240 stitches to the page finish. Haunted House has a mere 1,300 stitches to the page finish. Ivory Crow, I just started that, so 6,840 stitches to the page finish. Snow Castle, I have 1,300. I think that is a If I get caught up on March and April Lipgo, then I would have 1,300 stitches to the page 8 finish. So that is cool. And then Sweet Summertime has 2,750 stitches to that page finish. So what I think I'm going to do is rotate my way through these in at least 1,000 stitches at a time. Haunted House, I may just push the extra 300 stitches to get that page finished. But I'm going to put all of these on a wheel and work on them for at least 1,000 stitches before I switch to the next one. And see how many page finishes I can get done. I am not as close on any of these as I thought I was. But that's okay. I'm good with that. I will try to get a couple of page finishes in May. If I can get 3 page finishes, that would feel good. 5 would be great, because then I could get essentially caught up with averaging a page finish a month. So we'll see. There's another one. We will see what kind of page finishes I got. So that is it for the plans. Springo through the 25th, and there's that. Okay, now we're gonna talk. This is the tiniest bit of haul, just a little bit, but I thought it was worth talking to y'all about. Last year I did all but 2. I still need to get back to and finish them, of the monthly Quaker series by From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. I have just the last 2, November and December, to do. But she has a new series releasing this year, and I haven't seen it mentioned on FlossTube yet. And so I recently got the latest installment. This is the Birthstone Quaker series. And I get mine through Sammy, her shop, Tiny Hummingbird Stitchery. I have kind of an auto ship, we'll call it that, for this series. And this is Dazzling Diamond. So it is charted, I think all of these are charted in silken colors. And it's just one color for all of them. I didn't bring them all, I just have this one here to show you. But that is Dazzling Diamond, and they are all the same shape, 90 by 90 stitch count. And I think this is going to be, I would really like to finish monthly Quakers before I get into Birthstone Quakers. But that would be fun. And then she also sent me a couple of skeins of Garden Gate. I believe that these are for the Fabulous House series from Cottage Garden that we did last year, that Vinny did last year. So that is it for the haul. I have not made any digital purchases in the last couple of weeks, but I wanted to talk about the Birthstone Quaker series because I haven't seen it on FlossTube. And I am watching some older FlossTubes, but anyway, I haven't seen that one around. So okay, let's move into our last topic for the day, and we're going to talk about books. In 2024, I had a really good reading year. I read like 38 books last year, I think it was. 38 or 39. I always set my reading goal to the age that I'm turning. So this year I would set the goal at 37 books. And the reading this year hasn't been. I haven't done a whole lot of reading. Last year I read a lot of romance books, smut. I read a lot of that, and very much enjoyable. I read some really interesting ones, some that have stuck with me since reading them. Some of them I wish I hadn't wasted the time on. But if you asked me, I would say that I am a fantasy reader, and I did hardly any of that last year. And so I said, moving into 2025, that I was going to try to prioritize fantasy over romance. So I'm just going to tell you real briefly the books that I have read this year, and it's a sum total of 3. So the first book I finished was a reread of Ray Bear by Jardin. This is a young adult, very African inspired mythology, fantasy. I think I said it, young adult. I have the physical copy here somewhere, but I can't find it, so I must have shelved it, or it's in a different room. I'm not entirely sure. But I ended up listening to the audiobook as a reread because I wanted to read Redemptor, which is the second in the duology. And I haven't gotten around to Redemptor yet, but I did the reread in order to prepare myself for that. And so I'm going to pick up Redemptor here probably pretty soon, because I am a big fan of that story and those characters, and I want to see where it goes. Okay, the other book that I have finished this year, and it took me months to read, Credence by Penelope Douglas. Credence is it's a taboo romance. We'll go with that. It is about this girl who, she is raised by her parents, who are both famous actors. They commit suicide, and she goes to live with her uncle and his two boys in the middle of nowhere, Colorado. They live up in the mountains where at some point in October it starts snowing, and then they can't come down the mountain, and so it's a little bit of The Shining. In the sense of the isolation, not so much what happens in The Shining. And so we have 3 good-looking guys and 1 vulnerable girl, and things happen, and we'll go with that. It took me forever to read that book. The taboo didn't bother me at all. It's just that I just didn't care. I didn't care. And so I slogged through it and I read the whole thing, but it was a 2-star read for me. It just didn't hit for me in the way that it has for some folks. It seems to be a bit of a polarizing book among the romance readers. Some people get hung up on the taboo side of it, and that's not the case for me. I just didn't care. I just didn't care. And I found the main character to be quite annoying. I run into this pretty regularly when I read romance novels, especially when the main characters are like in their early 20s. I can't relate. I'm a long way from my early 20s, and I have a difficult time trying to relate. So anyway, or it comes down to the writing, because yesterday I finished Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. So this is, I think it's her most recent release. I don't think she's released anything since then, but I could be wrong. But Deep End follows a 21-year-old diving college student. She is on the diving team at Stanford and enters into a relationship with a guy who is a senior on the swim team. So they fall under the same umbrella, even though their sports are very different. And I have yet to read an Ali Hazelwood that I don't like. This is my third. I read Bride, and then The Love Hypothesis. I read Bride and The Love Hypothesis last year and thoroughly enjoyed them both. And so I went into Deep End with as little expectations as I possibly could, and it was good. It was really good. This one talks about power exchange, intimacy, and so if BDSM isn't your thing, if you, hands off, then you can miss this one. It is not a vanilla romance. And I loved it. I really did. I enjoyed this one a lot. I listened to the audiobook, and I felt like the female narrator, she was good, but she sounded way older than a 21-year-old college kid. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy Ali Hazelwood's books. This is a 5-star read for me, I'll be honest. I related in some aspects to the main character. I loved the anecdotal appearances of the main characters from The Love Hypothesis. Yeah, it was heartwarming and giddy, and it had me laughing, and I even cried a little bit once. It was good, and it was a good read. So highly recommend that one. I'm going to get a physical copy because I've very much enjoyed it, and I think that might be one that I return to. That's pretty great. So here's what I'm currently reading. On average, I usually have an audiobook, an ebook, and a physical book on the go. And they are usually wildly different genres. So Deep End was my audiobook that I finished up yesterday. And so today I'm going to start Harlem Rhapsody by Victoria Christopher Murray. This came on a recommendation from Letitia. And so I have that one on Libby queued up and ready to go. I'm going to start that today. My ebook I have been reading forever, and I need to get back to it. It is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I have not read a Grady Hendrix before, and so far this one has been very campy, very 80s, and it's been a lot of fun, and so I would like to get back to that to finish it up. It is the sort of older sister or older cousin, if you will, of the what is it? Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. So it's technically a predecessor, even though they're not exactly related. But I want to finish My Best Friend's Exorcism first. And that is my ebook read that I typically read for a few minutes before I go to bed. Okay, so the physical book that I'm reading, I don't know that I want to try to explain it. I am terrible about describing books, especially those that I am barely into, especially those that are fantasy, without giving spoilers. So I'm just gonna mention the book and tell you that I'm obsessed. This is The Final Strife by Sara El-Arifi. And I love this. I did a try a chapter. I pulled 5 books off my shelves that have been sort of calling to me, and I read the first chapter and decided to continue with this one as briefly as I can. This is a fantasy world that is definitely very African and Middle Eastern inspired. El-Arifi herself is, she is Guyanese and Sudanese. So those worlds are definitely played out on the pages here. And I love this so much. Okay, so in this world, there are 3 classes of people, shall we say. There are the Embers. Their blood is red. It runs the color red, and they have magic in them. They are the ruling class. They are the ones who, they have little to no struggles in life. Then we have the Dusters. Dusters are essentially the workforce. They work in agriculture and in manufacturing. They barely make ends meet, but they can work. They can earn money. And they can eke out a living free, shall we say. And their blood runs blue. And then we have those who have clear blood, and they are called ghostings. And ghostings are the servants. They are the invisible. They are the unheard. They are into forced servitude. And they are definitely the ruled class. They are the bottom, if you will. This book follows Sila, who is a duster, and she gets involved in a series of trials that helps determine the next warden, well, the next disciple of the warden. Okay, I'm not great at this. The wardens are, there are 4 wardens, and they are the bosses. They are the top echelon of people. They are the leaders of this area. And below them is a disciple. Every 10 years, the warden steps down and their disciple takes their place as warden. In order to become a disciple, you have to go through a series of trials called the Actibar, and Scylla gets involved in the Actibar. I am 150 pages in, so I can't talk about this. I can't give you anything. This is phenomenal. I am so thoroughly enjoying this, and it feels strange to say that because it is heavy. The topics that are discussed in this, the classes, and the way that ghostings are treated. The ghostings 400 years before the events of this book took place led a rebellion, and they are still being punished for that rebellion. The disparities between the Embers and everybody else is overwhelming and makes life just feels like it's impossible. It's impossible. It's heavy stuff, and I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. This is great, and I think everybody should read it, and I love it. The main deity is non-binary, has no gender assignment whatsoever. Just a really positive, really healthy discussion about trans lives and two-spirit lives and non-binary folk. Yeah, this so far is really good, and I know it's going to break my heart, and I know that it's going to hurt in places. It already has, and I'm going to want to follow side characters that there isn't the story for that, and I'm going to hope for the best and plan for the worst and love the whole ride. So this is the first in a trilogy, and I'm gonna have to go get the second book to start maybe immediately after I finish this. We'll see. So The Final Strife by Sara El-Arifi. So that is it for what I have read this year and what I'm currently reading. So we have just one last topic. It's just a little life update, and so if you aren't here for that, then I will see you next time. Otherwise, real quick here, over the last couple of weeks, a couple of things have happened. When I uploaded my last video, I tried to make my appointment with an endocrinologist because I was told as I was leaving the hospital to make the appointment for 4 to 5 weeks after I was in the hospital. And so I called them on the 11th, and after doing a runaround and trying to find the actual correct phone number, I was able to make an appointment for September 30th. And I know that that's how the healthcare system works, but it just felt strange, because I was told that I was to make this appointment. I was told that I would be given priority to make this appointment, and then I couldn't until September. There are other things at play here. The doctor that I saw while I was in the hospital is actually leaving the practice in a couple of weeks, and so she's not taking on new patients, so I was having to be shuffled to another doctor, kind of a thing. So I made the appointment for September on Friday, on Friday the 11th, and then on Saturday the 12th, I got a notification through my chart that an opening mysteriously had come up for the following Wednesday the 16th. And so I took it. I immediately took that appointment, because waiting till September felt irresponsible. These are new meds. This is a new situation for me. These are uncharted territories for me. So that felt strange. So I took the Wednesday appointment. Wednesday was a full day. It was a full day. We had my daughter's preschool spring/Easter picnic at school, and so my husband and I went to the school a little bit early on Wednesday, and we sat on a blanket and had some lunch, and it was great fun. And then I went to my appointment that afternoon. But Wednesday was April 16th. And for those of you who don't know, I am a Virginia Tech alum. I graduated from Virginia Tech in 2010. And April 16th, 2007 was towards the end of my freshman year. And that is the day that the tragedy took place, and 32 lives were lost to a gunman on campus. And one of those lost was Mary Karen Reed, who lived next door to me my freshman year. And so April 16th is a heavy, heavy day for me. Every year I think I'm gonna get through it without misery and just overall feeling dejected and sad and heartbroken. And I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder stemming from survivor's guilt after April 16th. And I always think that I'm gonna get through each year without feeling it so hard, and then it hits me like a bus, and I am flashbacks and all of that kind of thing. So I woke up on Wednesday knowing that I had all of these things that had to happen, and wanting to just lay in a dark hole and let the flashbacks happen and just get through the day. And I couldn't do that. I had to be mom, and I had to be a productive member of the world, if you will. I had to take care of some things. And some of that was okay. It was okay to go to my daughter's picnic and to smile a little bit. And it was okay to go to the endocrinologist and have my health taken care of. One of the pervading sayings that came out of 4/16/2007 was live for 32. And on April 16th, I don't want to. I want to just rot for that day. And instead I was living on that day and doing some important things. So I definitely felt the effects of the day for days after. I'm still having some flashbacks. But I'm okay. And I was able to check in with a couple of friends from my college days, and it is unfortunate that this is what brings us together and gets us to get back in touch, but it's where we're at. So yeah, so I had that on Wednesday, and Wednesday afternoon I had my endocrinology appointment where I formally got to meet my actual endocrinologist, and she's great. I'm a fan. I like her a lot. Which is good, because I think I'm gonna be with her for quite a while. And we have a plan in place. I am going to stay on my meds and sort of see what happens. No more additional measures need to be taken. I don't need to do the radioactive iodine, which is a treatment for hyperthyroidism. And I don't need to do the thyroidectomy. I am currently managed pretty well with meds. What I did learn at this appointment is that I do have some factors that lead us to believe that I have Graves' disease. Graves' disease is an autoimmune disorder. Hyperthyroidism can be caused by acute causes like a good virus can kick you into hyperthyroidism, as well as prolonged stress. some other things can cause acute hyperthyroidism. But those of us with Graves' disease, we have an antibody that causes the hyperthyroid to overproduce. And so that's what I've got going on. It is not uncommon to not know that you have Graves until you're in your mid-30s. That's not uncommon. So, and that's my situation. I didn't know that I had any kind of conditions until this point. So, it's uncharted territories, but it is a manageable condition. I may have points in my life where I go into remission, where I don't have hyperthyroid, but the possibility is always going to be there that I have another flare of hyperthyroidism. So it's going to be a regular monitoring and medicating kind of a thing. And that's okay. I don't shake anymore, and so that is honestly that's it for me. I'm good. I'm good for there. So then this past weekend we had Easter, and we got together with my mom for a little bit. So my daughter got to hang out with her grandma for a bit, and then we had Easter yesterday, and the Easter bunny spoiled my daughter. Somebody come help us eat this candy, because it's a lot of candy, but it was a good day. And now today she is over at her dad's parents' house, hanging out with them today so that I can do this video and sort of get caught up, and she will be back to school on Wednesday. We only have a few weeks left of the school year, and so her first year of school is just about done, which is wild to me. How is it that she's like a person? She used to be this squishy little potato thing, and now she's this person finishing her first year of school? I guess that's how time works, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel legitimate. So yeah, I think that's everything. Got you caught up on the stitching and the books that I'm reading, and I think I'm all set to head off here. I expect to be back. I'll definitely be back on Friday because it's time to do WIPGO calls for May. And then I think maybe next Wednesday, so another 10-day span-ish, before my next update video. And I will let you know how Springo finished up and what I decided to do with the last little bit of April before we get into some full coverage, some good time with some full coverage pieces. I'm looking forward to it. Really am. It should be good. So, happy stitching, everybody. I hope that you're well. As always, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, y'all.